checking on a scheduling matter there. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I think this is a good time to take a short and quick break. The court again reminds you of what you were told at the first recess of the court. Until you retire to consider your verdict, you must not discuss this case among yourselves or with others or permit anyone to discuss in your hearing. Don't form or express any opinion about the case until it's finally given to you to decide. Remember, don't do any research or investigation on your own. Do not communicate with others about the case by any means, and do not read, view, or listen to a newspaper, radio, electronic communication from the internet, or television report of the trial. We'll try to get you back out as quick as possible, okay? Thank you all.
All right.
right, so we're going to bring the jury in shortly. And you may be seated. Sorry. I thought I said that, but... Oh, what? Yeah. Okay, I'll rise for the jury, please. All right, thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Schlesinger, the state has another witness. I'm sorry. Ms. Bailey Smith, the state has a witness to call. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Robert Tamir.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome. Come on up. Just right about those. Raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear that the information you are about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. Thank you. Go ahead and have a seat. Get settled in, and once you do, if you'll just give the spelling of your name to my reporter, I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Robert Tamure, T-H-O-M-U-R-E.
Hello, sir. You can introduce yourself to the jury for me, please.
My name is Robert Tamure.
And how are you employed, sir?
I'm a private investigator, and I own a company called Metro One Investigations.
And previous to that, in a prior life, how are you employed?
St. Louis police officer.
And how long were you employed with St. Louis City?
21 years.
Okay. Did you have occasion to get involved in an investigation? I'm sorry, let me start over again. Did you have occasion to respond to a residence owned by a Dawan Ferguson located at 3720 Sylvan?
Yes.
Okay. And why did you respond to that house?
I was directed by his attorney, John Rogers, to go there, video it, and take some photographs and seize a few items.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked. If I may approach the witness.
You may.
Now, will you tell the jury while we're what Metro One does?
We do quite a bit of, we're investigators. We do criminal defense work. We do civil work. A lot of requests from us. For example, for a defense attorney, we may do serve subpoenas, interview people, evaluate police reports. Civilly, we may do the same thing, maybe go as far as reading depositions, vetting expert witnesses. For insurance companies, we may do surveillance. Or we're called upon sometimes to find experts for the attorney. We're glorified way, maybe we're like a go for this, go for that.
Okay. And how long has Metro One been around?
1995.
Retirement didn't suit you?
Marriage.
I won't ask anything more about that.
I'm going to show you, sir, what's been marked as State's Exhibit 33. Do you recognize that document?
I've seen it, yes.
Okay. And then I'm going to show you, I took the disc out, but I think you looked at it earlier, State's Exhibit 32. It was a video, I believe, taken by Metro One. It's in the computer.
I know we took video.
Okay. And did you look at it? You've seen that?
I've seen the video, yes.
Okay. And then I'm going to show you some marked as State's Exhibits 34 to 43.
I viewed these pictures prior to coming in here.
And are these exhibits a true and accurate depiction of the photos and the evidence, I'm sorry, the photos that were taken by Metro One, by your company and you in 2003?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I've moved to State's Exhibits 37 or 34 through 43.
All right, and
Please note the objection referenced earlier.
yes, so the court will take notice of the objection was previously raised, and we've discussed this previously. Those objections will be overruled. So the court will admit in evidence State's Exhibits 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40,
41.
41, 42, and 43.
And then also, Your Honor, I had 32 and 33. And 32 is currently in the computer because of technical issues. I figured remove it.
So you're moving for admission of
Admission,
those
yes,
as well.
Your
All
Honor.
right, so would it be the same objections as to Exhibits 32 and 33?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so as previously mentioned, those are noted, overruled. So State's Exhibits 32 3 shall be admitted in evidence, and you are free to publish if you'd like.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Tier, I'm going to show you. It's the marked State's Exhibit 34. And this is, what is this, sir?
It's a vial.
And this is a picture taken at the Ferguson household.
Yes.
State's Exhibit 34. This is 35. Another, what is that?
That's a vial also.
You might want to click that. Let's see if this helps you.
That's 2 vials.
And, can you see the name on that?
No. That's 4 bottles of liquid medication.
Is this a picture of Ferguson household interior?
Yes, it's a table with vials, 2 vials, pictures you had, the medication and the liquid, and I think over in the corner is maybe a formula, baby formula, possibly.
Talking about, right here.
I think down one, right, those boxes there.
Okay. Formula.
I think so. More medication and formula.
Here's another picture of the medication.
Medication, I believe that's a scale in the center of the picture. That'd be the vial with the contents and the pill and the contents inside the vial. I believe that's the formula that we talked about before. Medications.
Okay, what I just showed you, I'm sorry, Ron, I forgot what to say. It was 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 37, 36, 35, and 34. With our third.
Thank you.
This is states at 33. What is this a picture of?
I think you might want to adjust it.
Can you,
Flip it.
there we go. This picture of Mr. Ferguson by the door.
And this was at the time you went into seize these items from his house
Yes,
at the direction of Mr. Rogers.
that's correct.
Now, these medications I just showed you are all still in the bottles, correct?
At the time we,
I'm sorry, let me ask that question again. There's medication still in those bottles, correct?
yes,
They weren't empty bottles?
I really don't remember. I know the one with the, had the pills. The pills came out of the vial.
Okay,
Now, the liquid in the bottles, I really don't remember.
okay. Do you recall seizing any empty bottles?
No,
And you said that you seized items at the direction of Mr. Rogers. Were you directed to seize anything else by Mr. Rogers?
I know we took some medical papers, and I'm sure that that was at the direction of Mr. Rogers also.
And your search, or your entry into the house was on June 20th of 2003. Does that sound familiar?
Correct.
I'm going to show you, if it's okay with court's approval, I'd like to publish the video at this time, Your Honor.
All right, you may do so.
Thank you. Well, hopefully. Now, where are we right now, Mr. Chair? Do you know?
I have no idea. I know we're on location, and actually the video was being filmed by, I believe it was Mr. Bergdorf, who worked for me at my direction. And there'll be a scan of the whole house, various rooms. believe so, yes.
Now, Mr. Tenir, that video had on it a date stamp of June 20th of 2003, is that correct?
That's correct.
So that would have been 9 days after Christian Ferguson was reported missing that you entered the house?
That's the day we went to the house.
Okay. When you removed the items, did you document what you took from the house?
Yes?
And where are do those records still exist?
I don't have them. I would have turned them over to the law firm.
Okay. Did you ever notify any law enforcement at the time that you had entered the residence?
I don't think so, no.
Did you at any point turn over the items that you had seized from the residence to law enforcement?
Yes.
And you did so pursuant to subpoena?
I was served a subpoena, and also I had a conversation with Mr. Rogers that I had received a subpoena.
And it was at that point that you turned over the medications and the medical records seized from Dawan Ferguson's house. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Witness may be released. Ms. Bailey-Smith?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Be safe. All right, State, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Harry Howell.
All right. Come on up, sir. Hello. Welcome. Stop right there, raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear that the information you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I will.
Thank you. Go ahead. Have a seat. And just give the spelling of your name to the reporter when you get settled in, please.
Sure thing, Your Honor, thank you. Name is Harry Howell, Howell.
Sorry, while we do some housekeeping.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Howell, will you introduce yourself to the jury for me?
Yeah, my name is Harry Howell, and I was the primary investigator for this case.
Okay. And how are you currently employed, sir?
I'm currently employed at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency in St. Louis.
And how long have you been with them?
7 years now.
And what is your current title?
I'm a personal security background investigator.
Okay. And prior to that, you were with St. Louis City Police Department?
Yes, I was.
How long were you with St. Louis City?
20 years and 1 day.
Now, were you involved in the Christian Ferguson case?
Yes, I was.
How so?
On the day of June 11, 2003, I was reporting for work. I was newly assigned to the North Patrol Division Detective Bureau. And I was directed by my lieutenant, Art Roll, in order to go with Detective Dyson, Jerome Dyson, to a house at 3720 Sylvan Place.
Okay. And when you were directed to go to that house, what information did you have at that point?
I knew at that point that that was in relation to a missing person investigation that we received that morning.
And with regards to missing a child?
Child, Christian Ferguson.
And how old was he at the time that you received the report?
If I'm not mistaken, he was 9 years old at the time.
Okay. Were you considered the lead detective on the case?
Yes.
Did you work closely with the FBI?
Yes.
And who specifically did you work with at the FBI?
At the FBI, that was Agent Liza Ludovico.
And you said first thing you did was to go to the Ferguson household. Do you recall where that was located?
3720 Sylvan Place.
And when you met with the Fergusons, who was present at the time?
We were met by Monica Ferguson, DeShonda, her daughter, and Tia, the youngest daughter. And also in the house was Connor. That was Christian's brother.
Okay, and who did you know Monica to be?
Monica was Juan's wife.
All right. And when you met with the family, did you notice anything unusual or different about Christian's bedroom?
Well, when we came in, the door was closed, and it appears the house was, just lived-in condition. It wasn't necessarily out of order. But when we asked to get a request to search the residence, there's a form that we get signed, and Monica agreed to that. When we did that, we looked into the bedroom where Christian was, and there was an odor of urine in the room.
Okay. And I'm guessing that in your 20 years and 1 day of service, you've been into some houses that have been less than well kept.
Yes, unfortunately, you can say that.
And would you state in your experience that this is one of the stronger smells of urine?
Yes.
At some point, did you learn about a woman by the name of Lakeisha Mays, who was a friend of the defendant and Monica?
Yes, that was during the discussion with Monica that morning.
Okay. And at that point, did you discover that she lived on Disco Drive?
I believe the discussion with Monica was she thought she lived.
Objection, hearsay.
I don't think he said anything. It's his understanding of what was said. So I'm going to overrule the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No.
Go ahead.
My understanding that I didn't receive an address, but we knew that Monica had lived in North County.
Okay. And you all were interested in where where Lakeisha Mays lived, correct?
Correct.
And were you interested in where Lakeisha Mays lived because the SUV at this point, did you know the SUV had been found?
By that point, yes, we knew that the SUV was found in North County.
Okay.
So the question that we asked to Monica was, do you know anybody who resides in North County?
Okay. And at that point, you learned the name of Lakeisha Mays, is that
Correct.
correct? And did you later learn that she lived on Disco Drive?
We did.
How far is Disco Drive from Ron Bar?
Just a few moments or a few minutes by car.
Okay. Would you say they're close?
Yeah, very close.
Did you respond to where the expedition was recovered on Ron Bar?
Later that morning, yes.
Okay. And when you responded to the expedition, what did you notice about it, if anything?
One of the things that we noticed were the keys were still in the ignition, which we thought was rather odd.
Okay. And why is that odd in your experience of 20 years in the police force? Why are the keys in the ignition of a reported stolen car? Why is that odd?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled. You may answer.
In my experience, when somebody steals a car with the keys in the ignition, they don't get out of the car and leave the keys in the ignition.
Okay. Were you present for the search of the vehicle?
Yes,
Okay. And I'm talking about the red SUV.
that's correct.
Did you understand this red, or was this red SUV identified as the vehicle that was reported stolen by Mr. Ferguson
Yes,
that same day, correct?
yes.
These are all out of order, I'm sorry. This, Your Honor, if I may approach and show the state's exhibits.
You may.
Is it 69? Okay. State's exhibits 45 and 46. Do you recognize those pictures?
Yes, I do.
And what is picture 45?
Picture 45 is some of the items that were recovered from inside the vehicle,
Okay.
being electronics, cell phones, and things of that nature.
And what about 46?
46 is the contents of the vehicle, and I can tell by this photo, this was taken at our garage, our fleet services division that was located on Laclede Avenue at the time.
Okay. And are those a true and accurate copy of the items as they appeared on June 11th of 2003?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit State's Exhibits 45 and 46 into evidence and ask to be published to the jury.
Any objection?
No objection.
Seeing no objection, State's Exhibit 45 and 46 shall be admitted in evidence, and you may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is State's Exhibit 45. So what are these items?
Again, those are the various electronic items that we seized from inside the vehicle.
And to be clear, this is from the vehicle that was reported stolen by Mr.
That's right. That was the Ford Excursion that was found on Ron Bar.
Okay. So you can mark this case at 46. Are these items found in the vehicle?
Yes, that's the contents of the back of the vehicle. Correct.
And I believe you've already looked at this, but I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 44A. Do you recognize this?
Yes, that's an aerial photograph of the area.
And is this, you previously viewed this, is this a true and accurate rendition of the streets and the locations as they occurred back on June 11th of 2003?
Yes.
Any objection?
No objection.
Seeing no objection, State's Exhibit 44A shall be admitted in evidence, and you may publish to the jury.
Mr. Howell, I don't know how best to do this, but if you would show me where these locations we've been talking about are located on this map.
It's okay to get up
Sir,
here?
you can get up. Just make sure you speak loudly for us, please.
Will do. location right here is 6104 Page Avenue. That was the location of the payphone where when the St. Louis Police Department 911 received a call of the vehicle being stolen and a child that was inside the vehicle. Mr. Ferguson had made the call. This is the location of the house on Silver Place where Detective Dyson and I went to the home to interview Monica Ferguson and family members earlier that night, or later that night, I should say. And this is the location of 922 Pisco. That's the residence of Miss Lakeisha Mays. And this is the location of 326 Stormwater. That's where the Ford excursion was located.
And did you already say where Lakeisha May's car was found?
Oh, yes. Later that day, we determined that Lakeisha May's car was found at 6104 Page. Just right around the corner. I believe it's Second Street was 41, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Thank you. Now, did you become the lead investigator in this case?
Yes.
And there was a lot of searches, correct?
Many.
Did you conduct any yourself?
Yes.
Based on what?
Throughout the course of the investigation, we set up a hotline to take calls in for any leads that we needed to examine. So that was part of that. We kept a log of those various searches that we conducted during that time.
Okay. You never did locate Christian Ferguson, is that
No.
correct? Did you at some point during your investigation learn that items have been seized from the Ferguson household?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall what month that was?
I believe that was in July of the following month after the disappearance.
And how did you learn that somebody had gone into the house and seized items?
I was informed by my lieutenant, it's our rule, that Metro One investigations had likely entered into the home because there were reports from neighbors that some people were there in like 3 different vehicles, and they were in the home, and in the back of the vehicle was recording equipment like a video camera and things of that nature.
Okay. And let me ask you this, Mr. Howell. At the time when this was first occurring, this was a developing situation, would you say?
Absolutely, yes.
And June 11th, did you know about the extent of Christian's medications and hospitalizations and the hospital records or anything?
I didn't know details of all the hospital records or details of the medications other than the information that Monica Ferguson shared with us that morning. And during that day, I recorded the type of medications that were on the shelf and the different types of devices that were used for giving the medications to Christian. That was in the home.
Okay. After you learned that Metro One had seized and taken medications and hospital records or taken things out of the house, what was your next course? What was your next step?
Well, we determined that likely there was other evidence that could have been in the home that we weren't aware of. And that could have been actual physical evidence. And we desired to get a search warrant for the home in order to review that.
And so you got a search warrant for the home, and you also got one from Metro One Investigations, is that
That's
correct?
right. Yes.
And did you, in fact, seize items from Metro One?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, you did get a search warrant to enter the Ferguson house at a later date, is that correct?
Yes.
And that was in August of 2003,
Correct.
2 months after Christian's disappearance,
Correct.
and 1 month after Metro One had already been in there and seized items.
Yeah. I don't recall the exact date when Metro One was there, but I believe it was in mid-July.
Okay. And the items that you seized from Metro One, were they were they medicine bottles?
Yeah, some of them were medicine bottles. I knew they took various photographs also in a videotape of what they were doing inside there.
And what is part of the reason that you and Liza started working, Agent Ludovico started working together?
Well, Agent Ludovico has a background in nursing, and one of the issues with this particular case was Christian had a very rare genetic disorder that required special feedings and special treatment. And this was very true after his coma 2 years prior to his disappearance. It required care almost continuously, and that included having state-funded nurses in the home in order to assist the family with caring for Christian. So,
Objection narrative.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Go ahead and ask your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. And so because of his complicated medical condition, having somebody with Agent Ludovico's nursing and healthcare background was helpful in understanding the case. Would that be correct?
yes,
Would she perhaps understand what evidence was needed better than you would because of her medical background?
because of medical background, because a lot of medical terms were on a lot of those documents.
Okay. Your Honor, if I may approach with State
You may.
Exhibits 47 through 67.
Okay,
Do you recognize those photographs?
yes.
And what are those photographs of?
These are all medications that were prescribed to Christian.
And were those photographs, were those taken by you?
No,
Okay. And were those seized from Metro One?
yes.
All right, at this point, I'd move to Ms. States 47 through 67.
All right, any objection?
Judge, yes, I'll object to those pictures due to my previous pretrial motion.
All right, yes, and the objections noted shall be overruled consistent with the court's prior ruling. So States Exhibits 47 through 67 shall be admitted in evidence, and you're free to publish some of those.
Thank you, Judge. Now, Mr. Howell, what did you do with these after you seized these? You seized the actual bottles, is that correct? These are just photographs?
Yes.
And what did you do with medication?
All the medications that we received from Metro One, we took to our laboratory division.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 67. So what is that a copy of?
Now that's one of the medications, yeah, thank you for, again, another one of the medications that my understanding was Christian needed for his daily feeding and intake.
States Exhibit 66. And this one actually has Christian's name on it. Is it?
Correct.
States Exhibit 65.
Yes, Arginine crystal, correct.
States Exhibit 64.
Yeah, so that's just the same bottle, but it's turned slightly in order to record all the information that the other photograph couldn't capture. Yes, sodium benzoate.
State's Exhibit 62.
And that's another bottle of the same medication, sodium benzoate.
And to be clear, you thought these these medications, the reason you wanted them was because you thought they were relevant to this case, correct?
Yes,
Because of Christian's disease.
correct.
So State Exhibit 61 is another photo of medication. Is that correct?
Yes.
Carnitine. State's Exhibit 60.
Yep, another bottle of carnitine.
State's Exhibit 59.
Citrocasol, yes. I believe that's another bottle of it, if I'm not mistaken. I have to compare that to the last one. And this is vitamin B6 that Christian was also prescribed.
State's Exhibit 57. State's Exhibit 56.
And again, the same bottle, probably just turned so you can get the other image of the label.
State's Exhibit 55, this is a different medication, correct?
Correct, that's a different medication.
In fact,
That may be L-arginine crystal. Perhaps another photograph will show the other side of the label.
State's Exhibit 54, it's the State's Exhibit 53, sorry, going backwards. Other side of the label,
Yes.
State's Exhibit 52.
Again, arginine crystal.
And to me, did it look like to you, or do you recall whether there's medication in these bottles still?
Objection, speculation.
That'll be sustained.
State's Exhibit 51.
Yep, again, medication for Christian, and again, arginine crystal. These are likely different bottles of medication because we had more than one.
Multiple bottles, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall seeing medications in some of these bottles?
Objection, speculation, Judge. We don't have the bottles here.
Has the witness held these bottles, seen these bottles?
You collected these in season 6 and season
The
4
bottles were collected and they were transferred to the laboratory.
And this witness did that?
by you, correct?
Yes.
But you can ask him that day if they were, not based on the photo.
Yes, that day that you collected them, do you have an independent recollection of there being medication left in these bottles?
There was some medication, usually in each of the bottles, but it didn't appear to be full.
That was State's Exhibit 50. State's Exhibit 49. Another medication bottle,
Yes.
48. Another medication bottle.
Butanol, yes, that's another medication for Christian.
And then last is 47. Let's see if I have a copy of that one. The retinol.
Yes.
Now, you said you were there, present for the search of the vehicle.
I was.
Ferguson's. I'm going to show you some marked as State's Exhibit 68. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to show you some marked as State's Exhibit 69. I may approach that.
You may.
Do you recognize this, Mr. Holland?
Yeah, my handwriting is a matter of fact.
Okay. And what does that envelope contain?
I marked this as the contents of one G-tube.
Do you recognize your handwriting, correct?
Yes,
Did you package and seize and seal that envelope?
I did.
Okay, and do you know when you did that?
The date here, it says August 8th, 2007. 12:40 is when I signed the evidence, but or the evidence label, so it was probably open in between then. The date that this was seized,
Did you seize it during the search of the house pursuant to search warrant?
it was during the search of the house, but we should have a different date on here. And that was because the FBI laboratory, when they searched the house, they recovered the evidence, and we received that from the FBI at a later time.
Okay. But do you remember seeing this and seizing this from the house?
Yes.
Okay. And what is this item?
This is the G-tube, or the gastrointestinal tube that would be used for feeding Christian through a stoma that he had surgically implanted.
And is this a true and accurate, is this the item that, the actual G-tube that you seized that day? August 8th of 2003?
I'd have to take a look at it. That does appear to be it, yes.
And you found that in the Ferguson house?
Mm-hmm.
Your Honor, I move to admit State's Exhibit 68 into evidence.
Any objection?
Yes, objection due to pretrial motions.
All right, 6-9, stand on your previous objection. All right, so that'll be overruled but noted. So State's Exhibit 69 shall be admitted in evidence. You may publish to the jury if you'd like.
Thank you, Judge. And just so everybody's clear, you did seize this, but then it was taken to the FBI lab, is that correct?
Yeah, technically, the FBI recovered that as evidence, and then I later retrieved it. But I did make a notation of all the evidence that the FBI retrieved, including the G-tube.
With regards to the car, I'm going to show you some marked as State's Exhibit 68. If I may approach, Your Honor.
You may.
Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Was that seized from Mr. Ferguson's car
This was seized from inside the Ford Excursion.
on June 11th of 2003?
Yes, there was a bag with a lot of miscellaneous receipts and personal papers, and this was in there with it.
And is that the way it appeared that day?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit State's Exhibit 68 into evidence.
Any objection?
Yes, Judge, I would object due to the relevance.
May I see the exhibit, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is the relevance of this exhibit?
Do you want a sidebar?
Yeah, let's do. Come on up. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free to take a stretch break at this time.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Cross-examination?
Thank you, Judge. Hello.
Hello, Ms. Steele.
How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Oh, Judge, I apologize. May we approach one more time on something?
Okay. Period. All right, so you may proceed.
Thank you. Okay. It's weird to call you Mr. Howe, so
Yes,
officer.
that's correct. Thank you.
So one of the first things that you did, yourself and Detective Dyson went to the house on Sylvan the morning of June 11th, right?
That's correct.
And as you stated, you talked to Monica, Connor, and DeShonda.
And I believe Tia was also in the home too, but Tia couldn't offer any information for us.
Okay. And as you had testified, the house looked normal, lived-in condition?
Yes,
And as you stated, it seemed to be well kept, but you did notice the odor of urine in the boys' room?
later, yes, when we opened up the door to the bedroom where Connor and Christian slept.
Okay. And during that cursory search of the home, you didn't find anything suspicious?
No, nothing that we would find that would be unordinary, like, like a gruesome scene of a murder or such. We didn't find anything like that, no.
And when you went to the home that morning, Monica, Connor, and DeShonda were fully cooperative?
Yes,
Okay. No strange demeanors detected?
no.
Now, the search that occurred in August of 2003, I think specifically might have been August 13th of 2003?
It could have been,
Okay. Items were seized from the home, is that correct?
yes.
And it was your understanding in the investigation, Dawan and Monica had moved out by the time that you did the search?
We determined that because we spoke to neighbors who believed that nobody was residing at the home.
Okay. So everything that was left behind were things the family wouldn't have taken with them if they had left the home.
That is sustained.
And when you were there, when the FBI actually executed the search warrant, you didn't see anything relevant to your investigation yourself, correct?
Objection calls for speculation on the part of the witness.
It's about his investigation.
Well, I'm going to sustain the objection, but why don't you re-ask the question?
Oh, that's fine.
Thank you.
When the FBI went into the house to do the search, you were present, correct?
I was present at the home, yes, but not with the FBI.
Not with the FBI, okay. Did you go inside of the home?
When the FBI evidence technicians completed their investigation inside, yes, I did go in.
Okay. And then you went in yourself to look around, is that correct?
Not just to look around, but also to determine what evidence they were collecting and where from.
Okay. And from what you observed that was left, you did not see anything relevant to your investigation?
No, some of those items were relevant to the investigation, so that would be the medications specifically, and also things such as soiled bedding.
Now, you claim that the items seized were medications and food and medical supplies?
Yes,
And those items are now actually missing, correct?
those items were taken to the lab at a later time, and I don't understand how the lab conducts their processes for destruction of evidence.
Okay.
But my understanding is eventually those items were destroyed at some point, yes.
And as you had testified, Metro One was the company hired by Dawan's attorney, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And they turned over the medication and video, bottles, documents, et cetera, to you, right?
those items that they seized initially, yes.
And the G-tube, you actually got that from Metro One, correct?
No, the G-tube was actually seized during the FBI investigation.
Let's see here. Do you remember back in May 4th of this year, you came and sat for a deposition with me?
Yes,
Okay. And that was at the prosecutor's office?
yes.
Correct. It was myself. I think Mr. Schlesinger was there.
Mhm.
Okay. And you were sworn under oath, tell the truth
Yes.
like you are today? Okay. John, it's page 66. Judge, may I approach the witness?
You may. You can go ahead.
I'm going to show you page 66, and it starts at,
Ms. Steele, if you just speak up for us.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to show you page 66, and it starts at line 23. And yeah, it starts at line 23. And I asked, and where did you get this G-tube from? And he said this was a G-tube that was in the Metro One investigation that was turned over to us, part of some of the medications and whatnot.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I said at that time, but since that time, I've been able to review an old copy of my report that I was able to find, and I believe in that report, it indicates that the G-tube was actually found during the FBI investigation. That's
Okay.
why. Thank you for correcting me,
No, that's okay.
and
Corrected
I just
me.
want to make sure that the record is correct.
No, I appreciate it. So that was, you're saying the G-tube was recovered at the search in August
Yes,
of 2003. And again, this is after, through your investigation, you believe Dawan and Monica had moved out.
correct.
Okay. Now, a month into the disappearance of Christian, the FBI was brought in, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Because this was a complex case?
It was a very complex case because there were a lot of different variables that we did not know on the first day.
And the homicide division did not take this case?
That's right.
And that didn't surprise you because there was no proof of a homicide or a body?
There was no homicide and no body to be proven at that point, correct?
And you investigated this case for 5 to 6 months in 2003?
Yes.
And then it became, I guess, what they'll call a cold case?
Technically, yes.
Okay. And then it was reopened, was it in 2005, to follow up on leads that had come in?
That's right.
And after that, it became cold again?
Yes.
Okay. And again, the reason it was cold is because it was still largely circumstantial, no body, no confession.
Objection, calls for speculation, legal conclusion on the part of witness.
Yeah, that will be sustained.
And at that time, there was no confession that you were aware of, correct?
That's right. No confession.
Now, I believe you had testified that the police located Lakeisha May's vehicle near the payphone,
Correct.
and prints were taken from that vehicle?
The evidence technician unit arrived and they processed that vehicle. I was not there for that.
Okay. And did you speak with the evidence technician in regards to the results from the lifts or anything?
I did not.
Okay. Going a little bit into the investigation, specifically the payphone, you tried to investigate whether or not Dawan placed a call to the hospital from the payphone before calling 911, correct?
That's right.
And you were not able to obtain those records from the payphone to see if a call had been placed?
That's right. And in review, the payphone will only record long-distance calls,
Correct.
but not local calls.
And as far as the hospital, you also did not obtain phone call records from the hospital to indicate if a call came in?
We did check with the hospital for their incoming calls.
Well, I'm
and
asking about, did you obtain records?
there were no records to be obtained.
Okay. Now, I believe you testified on direct about, or maybe not on direct, you participated in some searches for Christian, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And some of those searches were areas associated with pyramid construction?
We did get leads that possible pyramid construction work sites might be involved, but none of those had any evidence for us that we could outright examine. We didn't obtain any search warrants for any pyramid properties.
And you did go to some of those areas, but you didn't find anything to believe Christian was in the location?
That's correct.
Okay. And as you stated, you got some leads. One of those leads was from Theda and her husband, Victor?
I can't recall where all the leads came from. That's a good possibility that it might have originated with Theda or Victor.
Do you remember, again, at the deposition that we had back in May of this year? The deposition that you sat
Yes.
for? Okay. And I had asked you about the leads in regards to the searching at the construction site.
Yes.
And Judge, may I approach the witness?
You may.
It's page 67. I'm going to show you what's marked as page 67. Fill here starting at line 19. So did you, when you were searching for Christian, did you search any areas?
Your Honor, objection at this point. May we approach?
You may. All right. So there was an objection raised. I think ultimately the objection's overruled, but with an understanding. So if you would just continue, please. I had said sustained at the side, and I think I was mistaken. It's my first mistake I made this week. Anyway, so go ahead.
Actually, so, Mr. Howell, if I gave you, showed you a copy of the transcript, would that help refresh your recollection?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to have you read to yourself lines 19 down on this page, and then 1, 2, 3, and then let me know when you're done.
And just for the record, it's pages 67 at the bottom on the 68. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct? Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Is your recollection refreshed?
Yes.
So, again, those leads that you had received, one of them seemed to be from Theta and Victor Thomas, correct?
Yes.
Now, in your investigation that started in 2003, also in 2005, you prepared a police report, is that correct?
That's right.
And you prepared the police report in conjunction with the other officers that were tasked to do other parts of the investigation, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. And part of the investigation was speaking with a individual by the name of Mark Ellis.
You have to, excuse me, can you tell me who that may be?
I apologize. So part of the investigation was speaking with neighbors on Ron Bar, where the vehicle in question was found, correct?
Yes, I believe that is probably one of the juvenile division detectives that spoke with Mr. Ellis.
Okay.
Or other people that might have been located on Ron Bar.
And those officers that were tasked to speak with those neighbors, they then gave you that information and you put that in your police report, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. And when Mark Ellis was interviewed by law enforcement officials, Would reviewing your report help refresh the recollection on this?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this point. This is hearsay, and it's calling for him to testify as another officer's statements made up by witnesses. I think it's hearsay.
Turn on your microphone, would you please? I can't hear you. Say that again.
I'm going to object it's hearsay. It's my long.
All right, the short version.
Yes.
Why don't you come up to the side, please? So the objection was sustained, so you may ask your next question.
Judge, I have no other questions right now.
Okay.
But I do have him subpoenaed for potential impeachment.
Okay, all right. So no further questions at this time. Any further Any redirect, I should say.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Allen, you may step down at this time, and Ms. Steele was saying you're under subpoena in her case. So
That's right.
you'll visit with her about that. Those are very good.
Very good. Thank you, Your
Have a
Honor.
good afternoon. Be safe. Thank you. All right, you may call your next witness. Sure. We don't get to see enough of each other up here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, some issues with scheduling and some things that the attorneys and I have to work on. The net result is you get to go home early again tonight. Huh? Pretty good, right? All right. So the court again reminds you of what you were told at the first.
Grooming for a man is a date with destiny, happening at dawn across the bathrooms of America. The test of ingredients. Customized, built different. If a man can stop that he deserves Bevel, that's the Bevel difference.
Know that be fly.
All right, it is primary day in Illinois. Thanks for being here. I'm Kay Quinn. Voters are deciding who will be on the November ballot. 5 on your side, Sydney Stallworth runs down some of the